the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard, live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Very busy 3-hour Football Friday edition coming up. Sal Palantonio, the great Sal Pal, from ESPN with his best bets and a weather update from Philadelphia in 1 hour. Derek Stevens, the owner of this great property, in 90 minutes. Ian Eagle on the show. Mike Somich, VSiN host, with his best bets. And welcome in to those of you listening on SiriusXM channel 158. Pauly, it is a massive day here on the network. We are back where it all began now almost, 8 years ago. And for those of you who are listening today on the network, thank you. We really think that you're going to like what you're listening to if this is the first time that you've landed on VSiN.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are with us for the early ride, we try to cover every sport, although we're going to hit NFL hot and heavy here until we get past the Super Bowl. But we got on board with the hockey totals and what happened when we first became a network, and we'll be hitting that as well. So as Mitch always likes to say, every ticket cashes the same. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. We'll try to make it entertaining and make you some money.
No doubt. So here we go with the NFL divisional round. Game number 1, Saturday, Texans playing at the Chiefs. And I'm looking at the screen right now. Kansas City, 8.5 pretty much everywhere. And the total is 41.5. Couple of notes regarding this game to begin, Pauly. Questionable for the Texans. Joe Mixon at running back, Robert Woods, and their really outstanding linebacker, Azeez Al-Shahir. Houston is 7-3 when Mixon averaged 4 yards per carry on the year, 2-3 when he did not. Questionable for the Chiefs, Jalen Watson. The thought all week is that he was going to be back off the IR to play cornerback. And Mecole Hardman is doubtful, but that I don't think really matters. The weather in KC, cold and dry. Game time temp in the low to mid-20s, 10-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Gusts at about 20 miles an hour. This is a very popular teaser leg this week with Kansas City, and I'm sure no doubt on money leg parlays as well.
And I think that's going to get there. I'd be stunned if the Texans win this game. Number one, I'm asking you to do something you've never done. You're 0-5 all time as an organization in the divisional round. Mahomes, we've talked about all week, is 6-0 in the divisional round, and he hasn't turned the ball over in any of them. And now he gets all his weapons back, too, and then the rest factor as well. I don't think they'll be rusty. They won the first matchup by 8. He was only sacked one time, and they were great on third down. Third down will probably decide it in this one. But I am asking the Chiefs to do something that they rarely have done, which is win by 9 points or more. And 4 of their 15 wins, only 4, are by 8 points or more. But I just think with going for the three-peat, their 4th title in 6 years, it's a tough place to play, raucous environment. I just don't think the Texans are that good. And I think Herbert handed them the game. I have a lot of respect for their defense. I was too harsh on their defense last week. The defense is nasty. It's good. But the way Stroud regressed, the way you lose Dell and Diggs, other than Collins, who can beat me? I know the KC struggles against tight ends. I just don't think there's enough weapons here to do enough against a great Kansas City defense, and the regression with Stroud. And I know Mahomes is going to go off and spread it around. He just has too many weapons now that he has. You're going to get to the bromance here in a second with Kelsey, but Pacheco, Kelsey, Hunt, Hollywood Brown, Hopkins, Noah Gray, it's Worthy. It's too much.
Don't forget about P. Ryan, too, out of the backfield catching passes. So, the Texans disappointed me pretty much the entire year, going back to day one of free agency when they cleaned up, especially defensively, to bring in Danielle Hunter, to tag team him with Will Anderson. I'm like, okay.
Won a bad division, though. That's really underachieved. Yeah.
Totally. I bet them the first day in March of free agency at 16-1 to win the AFC. That ticket has never really had a chance. I thought they were not going to win last week against the Chargers. I thought they were going to be one and done this year. They, surprised me with that win and how they played, although their defense does have a ton of talent. But on the flip side, again, what are we talking about here with the Chiefs? If you go back and look at their schedule, and they did not get a lot of the breaks that they did. Week 1, if Likely's toe comes down in bounds, that's a loss. They beat the Bengals at the buzzer. Field goal there. Also, referees kind of screwed Cincinnati. Week 3, the referees absolutely screwed Atlanta in that game. The block kick against Denver to secure that win, beating the Buccaneers in overtime like they did. The Chargers games with the doink week 14. A bunch of those, they would not have the 1 seed if those coin flip finishes went the other way.
Yeah.
And so, but it is what it is. And I just think that's a point of, everybody's been saying this the entire year, that they're just not that great of a football team, and we have not been impressed, and yet they won 15 games in the regular season.
They would have to beat themselves, either with penalties, turnovers, or both, and I don't think the turnovers are going to happen because Mahomes doesn't turn it over. Penalty-wise, Clay Martin's crew's on the game, 59 flags for offensive holding, number 1 in the league. Kansas City, number 2 for most called.
I think that's pretty big, actually.
That could be big because Hunter wreaking havoc along with Anderson, and Hunter number 1 in pass rush win rate. But the other one, too, and Lassiter and Stingley are awesome, but going back to the offense, since Week 9, the Texans are 27th in EPA per play on offense. I just don't think, other than Collins, they have enough explosive players and explosive plays.
That's the part that I can't get over.
I can't get past that. And I also agree with the total coming down now here at circa at 41.5. Yeah. How many points are they really going to score? What's realistic for the Texans here if the Chiefs are clean?
I think they have to score. Can they win this game by scoring 17? Can they win 17-14? I don't think that's possible.
No.
But can they win 24-21? Would 24 be enough if the defense plays out of their minds again?
That sounds about right, and you would have to do something in the special teams. Fairbairn would have to be great, and then you do what you did last week. Ross had the block, and he also had the return. The first time that's happened in NFL history when he returned the extra point block. So you'd have to do something there as well. But again, you should have been down at least 3 scores to the Chargers in that game. You came out sleepwalking, which is a bit of a surprise because they're 14-4 ATS this year in the first half.
Oh, well, are you concerned about the 25-day layoff for the starters of the Chiefs?
There's got to be something to it because we also tied it into what happened with Mack and his numbers with the 1 seeds the last couple of years too. We're getting off to a slow start.
Yeah, right.
So that there could be something there, right?
Maybe look at first quarter under, first half under for the game. Although the number has been coming down pretty much the entire week. Now I'm with you. I've been disappointed in the offense the entire year for the Texans. Although this is a good matchup for Dalton Schultz, the Chiefs are one of the worst teams in the league at guarding tight ends. Mixing questionable changes stuff. I want to know, because it's an ankle, cold weather, the turf is going to be like concrete. So, what does that mean for him? He's going to give it a shot. He's a gamer. But what if he goes out there right away? He's like, yeah, man, it's too gimpy. I can't go. Mm-hmm. Then he's like their best weapon the entire year after Collins got hurt. So that's an issue.
Yep. Got to check that one. Got to monitor Flowers. Flowers is doubtful, but Harbaugh's giving him a chance to play.
Yeah.
Got to have more with the information with those two guys.
The Saturday night game, Commanders at the Lions. This thing's been going back and forth between 8.5 and 9.5 at various books all week long. In fact, it's sitting there right now. I'm looking at DraftKings. It's 8.5 for the Lions, 9.5 at other spots. I don't think this touches 10. Unless maybe on game day, just all sharps start pounding the Lions. I don't think that's going to happen.
If you could have grabbed 10.5 down the street when they opened it, right?
I'd love to have that in pocket.
Yeah.
David Montgomery, not on the injury report. Good news for the Lions. Also, Taylor Decker, Terry Arnold, good to go. Kevin Zeitler, offensive lineman, is going to be out. The total at 55.5 is the highest in the playoffs since the Chiefs-Buccaneers Super Bowl. Here's where the game might come down to. The Commanders were 8 of 15 on third down in the wild card round and 3 of 5 on fourth down. For the season, Washington was 45.6% converting third downs, 6th best in the NFL, and 20 of 23 converting fourth downs, 87%. The next best was Buffalo at 73%. Jaden Daniels has the best QBR on third and fourth downs, 93.5 in the league, 12 touchdowns, 2 INTs, and a perfect QBR of 100 on fourth down, where he is 8 of 8 with 2 touchdowns and 7 first downs. Detroit, on the flip side, defensively, allowed opponents to convert 32.4% of third downs. That is the best mark in the league. Second best at teams converting fourth down, second best. And their offense overall, 22 of 33 on fourth downs, fourth most attempts, and fourth best converting third downs. That punt prop that people have been talking about makes a lot of sense. Under 5.5 punts in this game.
Okay, there's 2 things here. Number one, we love Daniels rushing yards over, and we'll have a breakdown of Campbell against mobile quarterbacks. He could have a big game here on the ground. The other thing is what you said. I love these last 3 games with longest made field goal under. Who's kicking a field goal in this game from distance? You'd be out of your mind.
Unless it's 4th and 13.
Sure, so it's something like that, right? With these aggressive coaches? Absolutely. It's 47.5, 48.5. The other one, though, the last 20 years when the 1 seed plays the 6 seed, it's a 19-5 underrun. But the numbers you can't get away from is how Campbell has his team along with Johnson ready to prepare and rock and roll. Last 3 years in the first half, 39-14-1 ATS. 10-0 straight up favorites in prime time. 18-2-1 ATS when the opponent averages 24 points per game. It's ridiculous what they're doing.
Wow, that is phenomenal.
But I just don't see how Washington can slow them down unless Goff just has an off game and it turns it over and go back. This is the second worst run defense in the league. And you get Montgomery back and you have Gibbs. How are they going to slow them down?
I just think they're going to get gashed on the ground pretty much the entire time. I did see this. Maybe this is how they slow them down. Because the Lions are elite at yards after the catch. The Commanders have the best defense in football at limiting yards after the catch.
That. Yes.
So that could be a big thing where they don't allow any explosive plays in the passing game.
Yeah, I am concerned. It's the third straight road game for Washington.
That's big.
Look how that went for the Chargers last week.
Yeah.
Also, if you win the wild card game as a dog, next week you're 7-28 straight up. You are 16-19 ATS.
That said, I'd want to take them plus 10 if it gets back there.
They're the ninth team to make the divisional round at 150-1 odds or higher, Super Bowl odds. Only 3 made the conference title game. So they're up against that too. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, now live 24/7. Sirius XM Channel 158. Whether you're at home, on the road, or on the go, there's more ways than ever to tune into VSiN. Stream us live, VSiN.com, VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, and now Sirius XM. Great job to everyone involved.
The 2 Sunday games are up next. Buckle up. Snow is in the forecast. And would you look at this? We have some line movement in the marquee game of the weekend. That's coming up here on VSiN.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
So, Pauly, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah. Came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
Coming up here on Monday, VSiN by the Books. I am Dave Ross. I'll be joined by Mark Dominic, our GM here at VSiN. Our MVP quarterback, Rich Gannon, joins the program. Dusty Dvorak's going to break down the college football national championship between Ohio State and Notre Dame. And Carl Johnson going to give us the bookmaker's perspective of what he saw this weekend and what's still to come. That's VSiN by the Books here, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. We are live downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Thanks for listening. For those of you out there on channel 158 Sirius XM, as we are back today 24/7 here with the network. In 15 minutes, we'll go over some player props that we like for the divisional round. The games on Sunday, Pauly, Eagles, 6.5 point favorites. That's the number at FanDuel. Total dropped a little bit to 43.5. I think this is based on weather reports, including Kevin Roth out there who does this for a living. In his latest update, everything looks to be trending towards a snow game in Philadelphia. The extent of snow isn't set in stone, but he thinks that snow will be in-game and likely enough to stick around. Winds manageable, 5 to 10 sustained, gust 15 to 20 miles an hour. And as he points out, it's always worth noting with snow that if the winds stay light, it can boost offenses and it slows down the pass rush. Sal Paolantonio will join in 45 minutes from Philadelphia. We'll get his, expert opinion on what we're going to see on Sunday with the snow.
Well, if you get 4 to 5 inches, I think that helps out Philly big time. And you might just be able to push them around anyways with that great offensive line and that rushing attack. And it's well documented. Barkley ran wild. They had 314 yards rushing. He had 255, and they just took him apart in that first game. So as much as you want to put this on Hurts and the rust and how bad they played and how he played against the Packers, if they're going to get helped out by the weather here and more with the ground game, that's big. But no matter what the weather is, they can't look like they did last week. There's too many weapons, and that was unacceptable, what happened. But the other thing is, how can Stafford handle the elements here? He did not handle the elements well when they played the Jets. That was more just run the ball, and they won a low-scoring game, and he looked like he didn't want to throw. I can't believe Cooper Kupp said he's never played in snow either. Eastern Washington guy. So Philly all-time 6-0 in the divisional round, and Stafford, who had all these issues beating good teams, has now been great as a dog. But I just think the spot is so good here for Detroit in the late game. You got Washington coming off a playoff win for the first time in 19 years, the Sunday night game, now another road game, Saturday night, and then here you have the Monday night game in Arizona, and now you got to go out, rested Philly team, and you're going to have to beat them in the elements.
So this is how it flipped for Philadelphia's defense on the year. They had 4 turnovers against Green Bay in the wild card game. They ranked 30th in turnover margin over the first 5 weeks. Since the bye, they're tied with Buffalo in turnover margin at plus 17. The Rams tied the all-time playoff record on Monday night with 9 sacks. And that defensive line has been playing outstanding football. And again, if you take away Week 18, starters didn't go. That means the last 4 opponents of the Rams have scored fewer than 10 points, which is remarkable. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's getting enough attention. But how is that defensive line going to look against this veteran and very good offensive line for Philadelphia? Like if Philadelphia wins that battle, I think the Eagles can coast to a win here because the defense has been, I think, the biggest part of why the Rams have gotten hot down the stretch.
Yeah, that's how do you handicap it from the Rams' perspective? It's been 2 seasons in one. The horrible start, they saved the season. They beat the Niners. They were down 14 in that game. The fake punt changed everything. They're still 22nd against the run. All right, Sam Darnold's not going to be out there. Hurts can move, and it's a great offensive line unlike Minnesota. So I'm more concerned about what the offense has failed to do, too. I mean, you can sell me on the defense, which I'm still have a hard time getting there, but it's just facts when you see what they're doing every week. But what's going on with the offense?
Yeah, I was also looking at some numbers, how the Rams, secondary might match up, and everybody knows that they're really, really bad against tight ends. They're also bad against outside receivers. Well, that's A.J. Brown. And, oh, by the way, A.J. Brown coming off of that stink bomb when he was reading the book on the sidelines that everybody knows about now. By the way, he met the author today in the tunnel. Sal Pal put that up on Instagram. The author of the book came to that.
Number 1 bestseller now.
Yeah.
He owes him everything.
Of course.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Did you see how they opened up the Philly newscast on one of the stations back there on Monday?
No.
The 2 hosts on the desk were just laid back. That's how they opened the show.
Good that.
Both of them had the book, and they were reading, pretending to read the book. So that's pretty cool. But regardless, they struggle against outside wide receivers, and this could be A.J. Brown killed them the first time they played, much like Saquon Barkley did. And here's something for you. The Rams defense allowed 57 receptions of 20-plus yards in the regular season. That's the 4th most. Okay? From a gambling perspective, do we not want to maybe look at longest reception then for certain players here? Look at a Devontae Smith. Look at an A.J. Brown for longest reception.
Yep.
And because they struggle against tight ends, hell, throw on Dallas Goedert as well.
It was funny. Stafford, that was that game when there was a blizzard. It was Detroit against Philly. And the total crashed, and it ended up going over. I think Shady McCoy had 4 touchdowns or something sick. But it was so bad you couldn't even kick an extra point. So it's funny that he's back out in the elements there as well. But what are the Rams going to do through the air? Especially if they're limited with the weather, and if you get 5 inches with this defense that's number 2 in points per game and top 5 in yards.
Oh, they're secondary.
You're right. You're down Dean, but still, I mean, with the secondary, and if you put pressure on Stafford, it could be a long day, my friend.
No doubt.
Love looked terrible last week, although he was down people.
The overall roster construction and the drafting, specifically the drafting, by their front office over the years is second to none. They are phenomenal in Philadelphia. They hit like a home run almost every single year with the draft, this year being no exception. What you're going to have to bank on probably because that secondary is so good. Well, so is Puka Nacua, so does he just simply win like one-on-one matchups? And Stafford's going to have to get the ball out early to him. Did you see last week? This is when they got a lead, so they were protecting the football. Mm-hmm. A lot of underneath stuff and a lot of screens to Nacua to see if he could maybe break one. Maybe I guess that's part of it as well. But we're sitting here talking about the Rams' defensive line, and yet the Eagles' defensive line too, also very good. Here's the line movement, and I think this is pretty telling. I'm looking at the screen right now. Every spot basically has Baltimore either -1 or -1.5. Well, all week long here at Circa, and they take a lot of sharp money here at Circa, they were sitting at pick. They moved to 2. It was 1.5 when I got here today. It moved to 2 recently here at Circa. So they went above where Baltimore is at every other spot in the market. I think they're kind of, when Derek Stevens on the show coming up in a little bit more than an hour, are they looking to get, that's my guess here, right? Let's take some Buffalo money is what they're saying.
Yeah.
We want to go higher than what everybody else is offering right now, and they were taking some money on the Ravens today, evidently.
How about this? First time since 1967 the Bills are a dog at home in the playoffs.
Wow.
It's the first time they're a home dog since 2020. That was against Miami. 3 of the 4 games are rematches. The team who won the first game is 64% in the second meeting. But how about this? When the first game resulted in a win of 20 points or more, that team is 10-1 straight up in the rematch.
Yep.
Hello.
The team that won.
Yep. And the Ravens are 15-3 ATS in road rematches going back. So this is just, here comes Henry and Jackson on the ground. Can you stop it? And they set the record with, 5.7 yards per carry? I don't think anybody can stop it. And the fact that Henry has been at his best in the playoffs, 8 playoff games, half of them, 150 yards rushing. So I might not have flowers, but just you see what they did with that design stuff with Jackson and what they did against Pittsburgh. And I don't know if Buffalo's going to have an answer. And I love what Baltimore's done with the adjustments with their defense. And since Hamilton went back to deep safety in Week 11, they're number 1 in EPA per play on defense. 7th meeting all time. Both teams average 30 points per game. And I figure both quarterbacks won't turn it over. But if one quarterback does turn it over, it could be Lamar. And we saw what happened his last playoff game in Buffalo when he had the pick 6. But it's going to be all about the rushing attacks here and what they did last week. One team ran for 300 on 50 carries, and the other team had 200 yards rushing as well. I just don't think Buffalo has enough defensively to slow down Baltimore, although Baltimore's a very popular pick, though.
Plus, frigid temperatures could equal more time on the ground for both of these offenses. And, Baltimore on offense, 3rd best adjusted line yards, 2nd in power success, 7th. This is where it could be, the Bills could get exposed. The Ravens rushing offense, 7th best in the second level, number 1 in the open field. Buffalo, 24th at the second level, 31st in the open field. Again, that probably speaks to Lamar's longest run going over, Derrick Henry's longest run going over. And I got to tell you, too, this is why they got Derrick Henry.
Yes, that's right.
Assuming the Bills don't get out to a 14-point lead, his rushing attempts prop is 19.5. There's a absolutely an angle here where he runs the ball 30, 35 times in this game.
I don't trust either kicker, too. More on that coming up. When Lamar opens, this is from Evan Abrams, when Lamar opens the dog, 17-3 ATS, 19-1 covering 6-point teasers. 6 times he's opened the dog and became the favorite. 6-0 straight up in ATS, covering by 9 points per game.
Wow.
He relishes this spot.
Yeah, very good.
Yep. Looking for some action? Our friends at First Bet have you covered. Sign up today, unlock exclusive promotions. Watch and wager on hundreds of exciting horse races every day across the country and around the world. Sign up firstbet.com, promo code VSiN200. Claim a 20% rebate for your first 60 days up to $200. Head to firstbet.com today. Two other ones quickly, Mitch. Philly, 20-3 underrun in January games since 2011. Favorites of 7.5 points or more have won 18 straight playoff games. Baltimore lost to Tennessee in 2019.
That's the last game 6 years ago?
18 in a row. You're laying 7.5.
Wow. Okay. We talk about like season-long form, recent form, history. What does it all mean? Well, I think you have to consider that when you look at this guy's history in the postseason the last 5 years when he dominates pretty much every single game.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Heavy player props in our breakdowns for the next 2.5 hours as well right here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Pauly, what was your gut reaction when you first saw the Travis Kelce numbers pop this weekend? It's 5.5 catches, juiced a little bit to the over, and the yards prop is about 52.5.
Seemed low based on his history. But then again, it's when has Mahomes had this kind of weapons, though, to go out and get Hopkins and Hollywood Brown and what we talked about earlier, right?
But doesn't it feel to you like
this is his time?
This is that brotherhood between those two.
Yeah.
The familiarity, the postseason success they've had together.
FOMO, you're going to hate yourself if the guy has 80 yards and 2 scores.
Well, here's the deal, right?
Yeah.
Even last year when Kelce did not have a great regular season, everybody's like, oh boy, the Taylor Swift thing is so annoying. Hopefully they go away and he can retire at some point. Then he comes out and he crushes it in the postseason. Travis Kelce has had 71-plus receiving yards in 13 straight postseason games. Again, his prop is 52.5. At least 6 targets in every postseason game since the 2020 Super Bowl versus San Francisco. That's a long time ago. At least 6 targets. And he's had 6-plus catches in 12 of his last 14 postseason games. I like the way you put it. FOMO, sitting on the sidelines this weekend. And I have not bet it yet, but the more you think about it, you probably are going to hate yourself. I will if I'm like, yeah, Kelce has 8 catches at halftime. Remember that game against Baltimore last year?
Right down the field, touchdown.
Every single time he's dropping back to pass.
Right.
Kelce again. He peppered him throughout the entire first half. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a single penny on Kelce. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. He goes to him every single time.
Don't you feel the same way about Nico Collins? Like, how are the Texans going to... They have to move the ball by throwing to him. That's the only weapon they have. Understood that the issue's against the tight end, but, I mean, come on. The guy's a game changer, game breaker. And see what his prop is at.
Don't forget, before he got hurt this year, because Collins was having such a great and productive season in the air, like with the yards, he was like plus 125 to lead the league in receiving yards before he got hurt. He was almost like lapping the field right away. And then he goes down, and you saw how much Stroud missed his number 1 target. So I think it's going to be a combination. Well, Collins for sure, number 1. But the Chiefs are really, really bad at allowing yards to the tight end, and hence Dalton Schultz prop going up all week long was as low as, I think, 34.5. I know a lot of people are making a case here because it's a low number for John Mechie this week as well, because the target share since the other guys went down, since Tank Dell is no longer there, how many routes he's been running overall. Stroud looking at him with the targets, and it was like 30.5 to begin the week. So because of that suppressed number, I think people were going over it, and it moved as well. I'll give you this. So we talked yesterday on the program about how you're paying a tax to go over on these quarterback rushing yards props. A couple of ways to attack this, in my opinion. Jaden Daniels' longest rush is 15.5 yards. He has 9 overs this year of that number and 9 unders, so it's right down the middle. However, when you look at quarterbacks against Detroit this year alone, Mayfield, his longest rush was 12. I'll go in order from the beginning of the season. Kyler had a 21-yard scramble. Geno, 12. Darnold, 19 and 9. Rudolph ran 1 for 14. Richardson had a 1 for 17. Caleb had a 13-yard run in each game against the Lions. Jordan Love had a 14-yard run, and Josh Allen had a 21-yard run. So this guy's rushing attempts prop is 9.5, and his yardage prop is about 53.5 or so. I think it makes a lot of sense where he's going to be taken off, especially if the Lions decide to blitz a lot in this game. And if you can't get to that guy, that means there's going to be a lot of open field in front of him. He takes off, 1 run, has to go over 15.5 yards. Don't hate it. Don't hate that at all. Again, to your point earlier, how will Washington's defense stop the Lions' running attack? Washington on defense for the year, 23rd in adjusted line yards, 15th in power success, 25th worst stuff rate, 31st at the second level, 26th in the open field. Well, Detroit on the ground, number 1 in adjusted line yards, 9th best with power success, 7th lowest stuffed rate, 3rd best at the second level, 8th best in the open field. So they should have a field day here running the football. I don't even think it matters that Montgomery's back because Gibbs is so good, but now that you get him back, it only helps out a little bit more. And so I'll tie that in assuming that the Commanders cannot slow down those two guys, what about Goff's passing attempts under 33.5? He went over that number 6 times this year. 5 of those 6 have come in the last 7 games, and only 4 quarterbacks went over 33.5 passing attempts versus Washington on the year. I think it's correlated there, where Detroit runs the ball at will. Washington can't stop him for the most part. And Ben Johnson's content with that and says, okay, we're not going to throw Goff 35, 40 times in this game.
That's what he should do. But then again, he can't be pass happy. But you could also be licking your chops after what, I mean, let's be honest. Lattimore sucked last week. He was rusty, and he also didn't do much. And when Baker was throwing it to Evans too much. But if you're Ben Johnson and you look at how Lattimore played, and you know they have a suspect defense already. I mean, that's just, imagine if they're gashing you on the ground, what the passing attack's going to look like with all those weapons. So you give up 137 a game on the ground. You allowed 101 to Tampa, and now these guys coming in, averaging $140 a game on the ground too. So that could be just chunks after chunk plays going against them. But 33 points per game as well. And now with Johnson with all this time.
What's the latest on him, by the way?
Same thing. It's
there's no real update.
Raiders or Lions.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other gig.
Yeah, we got good audio coming up. This is really making the rounds of not a leader of men, not a guy to get up in front of people, socially awkward guy, and it kind of relishes the I'm going to go in the lab and cook stuff up, and I don't have to run the organization.
I respect that.
Sure, I don't have a problem with it either. Not everyone's cut out to be a coach and scream and yell and be the leader.
So he would rather, but it comes down to the Raiders or staying in Detroit, and like the Bears are out.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, who knows what they're doing? They're talking to 80 people. Give me a break.
God, yeah.
But if he wanted that job, I would give it to him. But maybe it's just more of Brady. That, okay, I'll listen to Tom Brady.
You're the master of the kicking props.
Yeah.
What caught your attention this week?
Well, I think the big one here is what's going on in the Buffalo game. It's so cold, and I don't trust either kicker. Bass missed 5 extra points. Tucker missed 2 extra points. Career worst 73% this year as well. I mean, between the cold and the weather and the snow, the longest made field goals 47.5, and with 2 very aggressive coaches. Like, why would you try that? At least you're inside in Detroit, right? But that's what you'll be. We're going YOLO. Right? Every 4th down, we're getting nuts in Detroit. Both coaches. But here, in the elements, with that damn wind, who's trying a 48-yard field goal in that game? Not to mention, it's Harbaugh and McDermott, and you got to go for it every time 4th down. Not to mention, I use Allen 4th and short, or I got Lamar, Henry, or the Andrews tush push. Same thing with the Philly game. I don't trust Elliott.
No, you can't.
5 inches of snow. Cardi's good, but then again, why would you try it? If it's going to be that bad with the weather and snow, why am I going to try a 48, 49-yard field goal? And are you going to make it?
McVay can get a little conservative once in a while, though.
Yeah.
That would be my one drawback there. And Sirianni just loses his mind once in a while. How about him? Watch him trot out Elliott for like a 53-yarder in the first half with snow on the ground coming down and, 18 mile an hour winds. And he just shanks it and has no chance of making it. And then he's going to get ripped from, coast to coast with that decision. I'll point this out. Yards per game allowed to running backs in the air. Bills, they allow the most, 44.2. Hello, Justice Hill this week. The Ravens allow the 3rd most, 40.6. Paul Charchian came on the program yesterday, had a great rundown of Ty Johnson. I still can't find Ty Johnson receiving yards props anywhere. The Commanders,
They're holding off on a lot of stuff because of Flowers. You don't have longest.
He's doubtful, by the way.
Yeah, you don't have most receiving yards in that game, and there's a lot of stuff that's not up there, right?
Does this make you want to be careful with Jahmyr Gibbs in the air? The Commanders only allow 23.5 yards per game to running backs in the air. 2nd best mark in the entire league.
No, I'm not scared off it.
Okay.
He's going to get a ton of targets.
The Chiefs allowed the 3rd fewest yards to running backs in the air. That would be Joe Mixon, but he's questionable anyway. And yards allowed per game to the tight end position. Chiefs, 68.5, 2nd most. Rams, 61.3, 5th most. Ravens, 59.6. That's the 7th most. The Eagles were absolutely elite against tight ends this year. They allowed the fewest yards per game to the position, 35.7. Lions, pretty close to them, only 39.8. So I'm not going to be on Zach Ertz this weekend either. Commanders were really good, too. They only allowed 41 yards per game to tight ends.
You know, the one thinking there is if maybe Gibbs and Montgomery take away carries and yards from each other, maybe it's just Daniels who could get at a big price to have the most rushing yards.
Well, I'm hoping because I laddered him.
That could be in play. That's possible. Getting ready for big game 59 with a big deal to match. $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code FTM. Become a VSiN Pro annual subscriber. Bet smarter all year long. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The betting splits from DraftKings and Circa. The dog videos, the betting guides. Don't miss out on this big game deal. VSiN.com/subscribe. Promo code FTM. $59 off annual subscription today.
It's great to be back on Sirius XM Channel 158 today. And fittingly, some NHL streaks are red hot. Pauly, details next.
It's a good.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network. last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
NHL goal in the first 10 last night, 11-2. Edmonton, 18-2 run on the road. Flyers, 19-4 on the road, 10 straight overall. Goal in the first 10. Red Wings, 14-1 run. Goal in the first 10. Blackhawks, you got the goal in the first 10, but we couldn't get the first period over. The 11 in a row came to an end. Those are the ones that are most infuriating. They scored, you still had 12 minutes to play with and get another one. He couldn't do it. 10 of 11 for the Blackhawks. For the game, Ottawa's played 9 unders in a row. And your big boy tonight, Buffalo's at home. They are 15-2 at home. Run, goal in the first 10.
Is there anything to the Vegas-Carolina game, because I have an itch to parlay yet again? That's back-to-back winners now. Yesterday, the round robin came in. I will say, these seem like they're so fluky that 3 of them were in going into the Oilers game. I hedged some of it back, my original bet, and a little bit more. As I was like, I got to lock up something on this. It's so fluky, but they all got there, no problem.
Yeah. There's a little something there with Vegas if
there
you
is,
want to
okay.
play it. Temple plus 270. College hoops beat Memphis. Gonzaga lost again. Oregon State plus 375.
We're going to go another year with Mark Few not cutting the nets down.
New Hampshire 7-1, big upset. UTEP plus 330. Rutgers plus 330. And Minnesota from the parking lot.
What a wild ending.
Plus 440, beat Michigan at the buzzer.
Michigan's like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the entire Big Ten. I think they're a threat to make a serious run this year in the tournament. Minnesota's the worst team in the country, or one of them covering numbers. They won it outright. They're horrible this year.
Yeah. Lose some. Georgiev, Sharks, and Colorado. His teams are 3-20-3 in the first period this year. That is a lose some. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos at Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. This is a different dog. We showed this 2 weeks ago. This is the dog goes in the cupboard. Look at this. Coming around where you got the cereal and everything. Oh, peekaboo. There you go. There he is again. Look at this. Another dog that likes to sneak in the cupboard. And apparently he's like 50 pounds, it said. What does it say on the screen?
40 pounds.
40 pounds, sorry.
7 months old.
Look at that. Yes, 7 months, 40 pounds. He likes to go in the cupboard. And he hides it where you put the milk and cookies and the cereal and everything. And then...
Well, he's an aimless wanderer is what he is.
Look at that.
And he's trying to take a nap. I think he's trying to tell the owner, hey, come on, man, I don't want that light in here. I'm sleeping.
Oh, my God. That's an incredible video. I'm stunned. The one that you showed 2 weeks ago, the guy was a big fella. This guy, 40 pounds, just like, okay, I'm even to think about to contort and put your body in that position and get in there and that's comfortable, right? Here's a great reaction. The owner pretends to take a bite out of the dog's paw. And the expression is priceless here. The look about, what are you doing? Did you just... I'm looking around, spooked. He's got me freaked out. Spooked here, the look on the dog's face after the owner tried to take a bite out of crime. Incredible. And this is the bulldog. This is how he goes to bed every day. It's how it has to be done. So he jumps in the bed, but he has to be Ubered. Okay? I start there. That's the first stop at the station. You have to Uber me and drag the bed to where I lie down and put my face on a pillow, put my head on a pillow, right? So here, after I sit in the bed and the owner drags me, okay, there you go. Now I can finally go to sleep. Every night, this is how it has to be done. He won't go to bed unless he starts in that small bed. You drag him to where he goes through the gate, then we call it good. Creature of habit. Unbelievable. Bad for the books. Pacers +2 went off the favorite in a bad beat. The Avalanche were led 3-0 and lost as the Oilers came back to get him. A lot of stuff going on ice every night. If you're the kind of player who wants to drop $10,000 or more on an NFL line at the best price in the market, or maybe you're looking for instant acceptance on your in-game bets, you need Sport Trade, the app that's revolutionizing sports betting with $4 lines instead of the standard $10. Instant in-game betting, dedicated concierge player service. Sport Trade delivers a premium betting experience like no other. Live in Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, Arizona, and Virginia. Download Sport Trade today, code VSiN. Get 10% cash back on every wager during your first week. Got to be 21 or older to play. Terms apply. Sport Trade. Awesome. So this is getting a lot of steam. And 2 people I respect told me this yesterday. The Ben Johnson angle, socially awkward, not a leader of men. Mike Florio today, Pro Football Talk, on with Dan Patrick on what's he hearing with Ben Johnson.
Why is the coaching carousel slowed down? Because there's only two guys who are no-brainers going into it, Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson. Now, with Ben Johnson, the question is there a spot where he is willing to go and give up this opportunity to be part of an emerging juggernaut in Detroit? And also, not every guy wants to be the guy at the front of the room. I've heard that Ben Johnson relishes his current role as mad scientist, coming up with all these trick plays, running the offense, and not dealing with the pressure of being the head coach. Look at what Dan Campbell has to deal with. I mean, he got doxxed. They had people show up at his house. When you're the offensive coordinator, that doesn't happen. When you're the head coach, that happens. And alignment has been the word most associated with Ben Johnson. He wants alignment with the front office.
Interesting.
Okay.
So the three angles there. He loves what he's doing in terms of likes just to be the mad scientist in the lab. The other thing is the socially awkward angle. And that's an interesting point, too, about what happened to Campbell with the incident with the daughter at school, where someone put it out there on Front Street after they lost in the NFC title game where he lived, and they had to pack up. What do you think?
I think that plenty of people are now saying this, so this is a very popular thing. So I think it's probably real. And I have, again, if this guy is totally fine and he only wants to be that guy, leave me alone. I'm going to go design plays. That's what I'm here to do. And I do not want to be that person in charge. I do not want to be the face of the organization. I can't do what Dan Campbell does. I can't go out there and be the rah-rah guy. And I can live with this. Then I would say, Detroit, you better offer him as much money. Just do it. Give the guy what he wants. Give him $5 million a year. And I think that would be awesome. Because as Florio said there, it's an emerging juggernaut. And that's exactly what they are. I talked about this with the Eagles earlier, how they've drafted so well. Same thing with the Lions. They've crushed drafts over the years. And people mock him. Gibbs, way too high, number 12 overall. You can't take him as a running back that high. No, you look silly now at this point. Getting Amon-Ra St. Brown where they did. Taking Sewell in the first round as an offensive lineman. Hutchinson fell to them. See, there you go. Jacksonville, horrendous job taking the kid they did and not Hutchinson. Now he got hurt this year, obviously, but maybe he realizes that no matter where he goes, he's not going to be able to make it any better than what he has it right now. And the Lions might be a force for the next 5 years. Do you have a lot of, we'll get into more player props coming up.
It's interesting because it'd be kind of refreshing to say, no, I don't want to do this.
I love it.
And maybe I'm not cut out to do that.
Right.
It's wild, though. But the Raider thing is perplexing.
You have a favorite side or total this week?
I do not.
You do not?
These are tough games.
I found last week to be tough.
If you could grab the 10.5 right away with Washington, I thought that was big. I teased the Chiefs. You got to have to find another dance partner.
You want to tease him with Buffalo getting 8 right now?
Yeah, that's not bad. Although, boy, that was ugly the first time they played. Boy.
Again,
but I'd just be stunned if the Texans won the game. But to tease the Chiefs down and to maybe go with the Bills, I sign off on that one. I'm with Somich, too, on the under with the Chiefs game as well.
Well, how about a little Chiefs, Eagles, Ohio State moneyline parlay? That pays a little bit better than even money. Who are you afraid of there, losing that ticket? If you like the Chiefs that much, I think you like the Eagles quite a bit. Same thing goes Monday night for Ohio State.
Yeah. That's would you rather tease the Washington? Who has a better chance of getting wrecked? Washington or Buffalo? Like you could still lose by 10 and lose your ticket, and it's not a blowout in the Buffalo game. Maybe it's just the late touchdown drive puts it away, and it's 30-20, whatever. But, is Washington going to lose? The last 11 Commanders games, 10 have been decided by one possession. They haven't lost by double digits since week 1. Are they going to lose by 17?
I don't know. Because that guy, they're never dead. With Jane Daniels out there operating as a quarterback there in all these games. And even, so basically, either like Detroit scores late to cover this game, or they're blowing out Washington the entire time? Are they going to have a 3 or a 4 score lead the entire game for a guy that doesn't really turn the ball over? And they're going to just make Washington punt that often? I don't see that happening.
I don't have a strong opinion on some of these games other than I think Kansas City's going to win and lead under, is because I'm focused as doing this in the business and what we're going to be talking about for the next month. I want an awesome Super Bowl And to think that Detroit, Buffalo, Baltimore, Philly's still alive. I just want a great championship Sunday and a great Super Bowl matchup because it's 2 weeks nonstop about the same game. That's as a fan, selfishly, I want the big boys to make it to the end, and I want. And if both home teams win Saturday, we're guaranteed a great Super Bowl.
I think this weekend's the best. Next weekend is second best, and they're both ahead of the Super Bowl. More games. It's about the journey, not the destination. The great Sal Paolantonio on the show coming up next. What are we talking about with the weather in Philadelphia on Sunday, and how much snow are we expecting?
And we're out.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I need to load funds into my gaming apps.
Stormy, really? With a credit card?
Well, with my credit card from GBank, they don't treat gaming transactions as cash advances. Plus, you get